Chapter 35:18. Since the teleportation platform has been activated, why didn't you leave? Lu Ming asked again. That's because the teleportation platform has been destroyed. The moment that girl teleported away, it self-destructed. Perhaps she used the wrong method to activate it. The giant bear sighed. Where is the teleportation platform? Bring me there. Lu Ming said. It's in the depths of this mountain. Please. The giant bear waved his hand, and everyone brought Lu Ming to the depths of the mountain. Sure enough, there was a huge formation platform here. It was really huge, with a radius of several thousand li. However, many places had exploded, and many people's runes had been destroyed. Lu Ming closed his eyes and spread out his spiritual sense. After a while, Lu Ming suddenly opened his eyes. It was Autumn Moon's aura. That's right, he sensed Autumn Moon's aura. There was no mistake. The giant bear was right. Autumn Moon must have been here. Even though more than 100 years had passed, there was still a remnant of Autumn Moon's aura. Although it was very faint, ordinary people wouldn't be able to sense it. However, Lu Ming was too familiar with Autumn Moon. Even if it was very faint, he could still sense it. Can this teleportation platform not be repaired? Lu Ming asked the giant bear and the others. It can't be repaired. At least with our level, it's hard to repair. The giant bear and the others shook their heads. Senior Bone Devil, do you have a way to repair it? Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Bone Devil. No. Bone Devil's answer was very simple. He then said, this teleportation platform is very ingenious. It's unique to the Divine Dragon Clan. Only the Divine Dragon Clan can teleport. Other people can't teleport at all. And that girl, Autumn Moon, received the inheritance of the Divine Eye Lord of Heaven. She might have mastered some unique techniques and forcibly activated this teleportation platform. Although she was teleported out, the platform was also destroyed. It's hard to repair it. It can't be repaired? Lu Ming was disappointed. It wasn't easy for him to find this place and find the whereabouts of Autumn Moon. Unfortunately, Autumn Moon had already left. Everyone, do you know where this teleportation platform leads to? Lu Ming asked the giant bear and the others. It's hard to say. It might lead to a secret base of the Divine Dragon Clan. But most likely, it leads to the mother planet of the Dragon Clan. The giant bear said. The mother planet of the Dragon Clan? Lu Ming was puzzled. The mother planet of the dragon race is still around. Yes. The giant bear said, the primitive universe is boundless. Not all planets are the same. Some planets are very special. For example, some of the top races on the list of 10,000 primitive tribes all have their own home planets. Their home planets are not only huge, but also very special and difficult to destroy. Not to mention divine emperors. Even divine emperors or stronger existences can't destroy them. I see. Lu Ming nodded. The mother planet of the Dragon Clan? It seemed that he would have to make a trip there in the future. Of course, that was under the premise that he could get out. By the way, why did you attack me before? Lu Ming asked again. Because you've cultivated the primordial divine dragon body. The Lost Star River is a base of the Dragon Clan. Since you've cultivated the primordial divine dragon body, you might be able to find a way out. That's why we attacked you. Zhu Tai smiled awkwardly. However, we didn't expect you to be able to summon the dragon soul here. Then, our chances of getting out will be greater. The dragon soul here is an undying battle soul left behind by a six-clawed black dragon that fell countless years ago. It probably still has its instincts. If you can control the dragon soul to lead the way, we might really be able to get out. The giant bear added. The others' eyes were already glowing. They came from different forces in the universe. They wanted to find the treasure of the six-clawed black dragon, but they didn't find it. Instead, they were trapped here. They really wanted to get out. Otherwise, they would die of old age here. Control the dragon soul to lead the way. Lu Ming's eyes also lit up. He also didn't want to be trapped here. This was a good idea. Alright. Next, I'll study how to make the dragon soul lead the way. By the way, the Lost Star River, is it just you guys? Lu Ming asked. Not only that, there are some in other places, but there aren't many. After all, Those who can cross the universe to come here are all people with high cultivation. Those with low cultivation don't dare to come here. The weakest among them is a fifth-layer divine monarch. Zhu Tai explained. Lu Ming nodded and said, "All right, I'm going to study it. Don't disturb me." All right. We definitely won't disturb you. If anyone disturbs you, I'll slap them to death. The giant bear was overjoyed and almost bowed. Its eyes swept around, revealing a ferocious glint. The others naturally nodded repeatedly. How could they possibly disturb Lu Ming? Lu Ming immediately sat down at the peak of a mountain and took out some divine crystals to absorb. After a period of time, Lu Ming's condition recovered to his peak. Then he summoned the primordial divine dragon horn and blew it. After several breaths of time, the mountain below him began to shine. Then a dragon soul flew out. Lu Ming tried to use the horn to control the dragon soul. Unfortunately, he could only barely control the dragon soul to attack or stop. This seemed to be the dragon soul's instinct. As for controlling the dragon soul to do other things, he couldn't do it. "I can't do it. The horn has all kinds of different tones. I just haven't figured out how to use it. If I can figure it out, it should be possible." Lu Ming pondered. Then he changed the way he blew and continued to study it. In the distance, the giant bear, Zhu Tai, and the others were eagerly watching. "Don't worry. Lu Ming's core secret art is very strange. A horn that can summon a divine dragon is something I've never heard of before. It's so mysterious. It should be possible to control. We just have to wait patiently." The giant bear comforted them. In truth, he was also incomparably anxious. In the following time, Lu Ming carefully studied how to use the ancient divine dragon horn. Since Autumn Moon had already left, he had to find a way to leave the Lost Star River and return to the Taishu dynasty. He had to deal with Jing Yu's matter as quickly as possible. Then he would go find Autumn Moon and Xian Yanqing. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming had been studying it for half a year. After half a year, he found that the ancient divine dragon horn was extremely mysterious and unpredictable. When blowing the horn, he needed to pour in divine energy. Depending on the amount of divine energy poured in, the horn's sound would also be different. Naturally, the control of the dragon soul would also be different. After half a year of trial and error, Lu Ming finally succeeded in his research. He was able to control a dragon soul and fly around with it. If I can bring all these dragon souls out, just how strong would I be? Lu Ming's heart was burning. Chapter 35:19. Lu Ming was really tempted. The combat power of these dragon souls was too strong, especially the most powerful dragon soul. It was highly likely to be at the Divine Emperor realm. If he could bring it out, he would be able to defeat the entire Taishu sacred court. However, Guemo immediately poured a bucket of cold water on him. "Don't think too much. It's impossible to bring it out. It's already very good that the dragon souls could bring you to the border of the lost galaxy. The reason why they could survive is because this is the base of the six-clawed divine dragon. Once they leave the lost galaxy, they will soon dissipate and completely disappear in the universe." Gumo said. Lu Ming suddenly became like a frosted eggplant. "Then let's go." Lu Ming smiled, then got up and stepped out. Yuan Song followed behind Lu Ming. "Young Master Lu Ming, did you succeed in your research?" Zhu Tai immediately came up to him with a face full of smiles. During this period of time, there were even more people outside the mountains. In total, there were more than 100 people. People from other places on this planet had gathered, waiting for the results of Lu Ming's research. At this moment, everyone was looking at Lu Ming eagerly. "It's a success," Lu Ming said. All of a sudden, everyone's eyes lit up. Their eyes were shining brightly. If it's a success, they would be able to go out. They were so excited that their bodies trembled. They were really too excited. They had waited for so many years, and finally, they saw hope. However, Lu Ming sneered and said, "But why should I bring you out?" Everyone was stunned. Then they looked at each other. Yes, why should Lu Ming bring them out? "Young Master Lu Ming, please bring us out. If you have any requests, just say it," Zhu Tai said with a trembling body. "Yes, young Master Lu Ming, If you have any requests, just say it. We will definitely fulfill them. We will die 1,000 times. Everyone spoke one after another, wishing that they could dig out their hearts and show it to Lu Ming. If you want me to bring you out, you have to promise me one thing. Lu Ming said. Young Master Lu Ming, just say it. Not bad, not bad. Everyone said one after another. I encountered some difficulties outside. Have you heard of the Taishu dynasty? Following which, Lu Ming briefly explained what he was going to do in the Taishu sacred court. You just have to promise me that you'll stay by my side for the time being. Once I'm done with the Taishu dynasty and overturn the verdict for Prince Jingyu, you can leave. How about it? Lu Ming said. Honestly speaking, this was a terrifying force. Because the weakest was a 5th-level divine lord. If he were to bring her out, she would definitely be able to turn the world upside down and become a powerful helper for him. He didn't want to miss such a good opportunity. The strongest person in the Taishu dynasty is a quasi-emperor. It's only a sub-universe level power. That's easy, I agree. I agree as well. Immediately, everyone agreed. The strongest person in the Taishu dynasty was only a quasi-emperor. Although this kind of power was also called a universe-level power, in fact, it could only be considered a sub-universe-level power. True universe-level powers all had godly emperors in charge. It wasn't difficult for sub-universe-level powers without godly emperors to do so. Moreover, they had been in the Lost Galaxy for so long, they didn't mind staying by Lu Ming's side for a while longer. Immediately, these people swore on their life origin that after leaving, they would stay by Lu Ming's side until they helped Lu Ming complete his mission in the Taishu dynasty. Alright, let's go then. Lu Ming smiled, then condensed the immemorial divine dragon horn and blew it. Soon, a dragon soul flew out. Lu Ming didn't plan to summon a few dragon souls. One was enough. Moreover, a dragon soul was easier to control and could go further. Woo-woo, the ancient horn sounded. Lu Ming stood on the dragon soul's head. The dragon soul let out a dragon roar and flew into the distance. The others followed behind the dragon soul. The dragon soul flew completely according to its instincts. It flew left and right, forward and backward, up and down without any pattern. If others were to look for it, they wouldn't be able to find it. Their speed wasn't fast. Just like this, they flew for over a month. Suddenly, the dragon's soul stopped. We're here. Lu Ming glanced around. He had a feeling that as long as they flew forward a bit more, they would arrive and be able to leave. Everyone, if we continue flying forward, we should be able to leave. Lu Ming said. Let me try. Someone couldn't hold back and excitedly said, then rushed out. Before they could fly out 100 miles, the space in front of them suddenly rippled like water. Then that person directly disappeared. Many people's eyes lit up. Disappearing meant that they had left. Everyone, let's go. Lu Ming smiled, then stepped down from the dragon soul's head. The dragon soul let out a dragon roar, then turned around and flew back, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Unfortunately, I can't bring them out. Lu Ming sighed. However, he was already very satisfied with being able to bring out Zhu Xiong, Zhu Tai, and the others. Swish. Swish. Lu Ming flew forward. He seemed to have passed through a thin film. In a flash, he discovered that he had already appeared in another universe in the starry sky. Looking back, he saw a huge galaxy in the distance, emitting starlight and slowly rotating. This was the Lost Galaxy. They had come out. Ha, I really came out, I really came out. The heavens didn't forsake me. Ha. Lu Ming was surrounded by Zhu Xiong, Zhu Tai, and the others. These people looked up to the sky and laughed excitedly. They had been trapped for so many years. Now that they were out, it was hard not to be excited. After a while, everyone finally calmed down. Young Master Lu Ming, thank you. Everyone bowed and cupped their fists to Lu Ming. They were very grateful in their hearts. No need to thank me. We're just exchanging conditions. Let's go, follow me to my station. But first, conceal your aura. Don't expose your cultivation. Lu Ming said. For the time being, these people couldn't be exposed. Otherwise, some people would be on guard. This power could only be effective if it caught people off guard. Then, They went to the hidden dragon star of the heavenly chaos starfield. On the way, they encountered a group of barbarians. They wanted to stop them, but they were easily dealt with. After a while, Lu Ming and the others returned to the hidden dragon star. Yuan Huan and the others were naturally happy to see Lu Ming return. However, when Yuan Huan learned about the cultivation bases of the people Lu Ming had brought with him, he was dumbfounded. He was so agitated that he trembled. In his eyes, Lu Ming was a man of great fortune. Not only was he fine after entering the Lost Galaxy, but he had also brought out a group of terrifying experts. If this wasn't great fortune, then what was? However, when Yuan Huan regained his composure, he said something shocking. Chapter 35-20. Yuan Huan revealed a shocking piece of news. 3 months ago, the barbarian emperor had fallen. What? Lu Ming's eyes widened in disbelief. The barbarian emperor had fallen. During the Great Void Sacred Emperor's birthday banquet, the barbarian emperor had fought with the Great Void Sacred Emperor. That kind of strength was earth-shattering. Lu Ming remembered it clearly. The barbarian emperor was a boundary emperor, but he was much younger than the Great Void Sacred Emperor. How could he have fallen so suddenly? Lu Ming asked the question in his heart. It was said that the barbarian emperor had offended an expert from the Wu people and was assassinated by the Wu people. His head and heart were taken away. Yuan Huan said, "An expert from the Wu people." Lu Ming's eyes flashed. During the Taishu dynasty's birthday banquet, an expert from the Wu people had appeared and attacked them with soul power. His methods were strange and unpredictable. If Blue Merchant had not blocked it, many of them would have been in danger. The Wu people were a true universe-level force and a member of the primitive 10,000 tribe list. They were extremely powerful and far beyond the barbarian tribe. Nobody knew how the barbarian emperor had offended an expert from the Wu people and was killed. Cooperating with such a terrifying race was like asking a tiger for its skin. If they were not careful, they would be devoured. Battle Ancestor, Etion had sent a message saying that the barbarian tribe was in chaos. A few princes were fighting for the throne. He wanted to secretly help one of the princes become the barbarian emperor. That way, he would be able to control more barbarian tribe forces for us to use. Yuan Huan said, "That's a good idea. Send a message to Etion and tell him that I'll bring people to help him." Lu Ming said. After some time, Etion replied and said that there was no need. After all, the battle between the barbarian princes was very dangerous. It involved 8th level and 9th level divine lords, and even quasi-emperors. It was very dangerous. Etion is looking down on me. Lu Ming smiled. Obviously, Etion felt that the strongest person on Lu Ming's side was Yuan Huan. Even if he went, he wouldn't be of much help. Instead, it would put Lu Ming in danger. Tell Etion that I have a way to help him. This time, I will definitely go. Lu Ming said. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If he cooperated with Etion, he could push a barbarian prince he could control to the throne of the barbarian emperor. In the future, he would be able to borrow the power of the barbarian tribe. He felt that the Taishu dynasty was no longer peaceful. As the Taishu Saint Emperor neared the end of his lifespan, the various forces of the Taishu dynasty began to stir. Once the Taishu Saint Emperor died, there would be chaos. And if he wanted to reverse the verdict for Jingyu, the more power he had, the better. In the end, Etion gave in to Lu Ming and agreed to let Lu Ming go. Not long after, Etion brought Lu Ming to the barbarian tribe's territory through secret means. This time, Lu Ming brought 30 experts over. All of them were brought out from the Lost Galaxy. Giant Bear, the Boundary Emperor, naturally had to follow. In addition, there were a total of 5 9th-level Divine Monarchs. Zhu Tai was one of them. The rest were 8th-level Divine Monarchs. This was a terrifying force. They were covered in black robes to prevent the barbarian tribe from recognizing that they weren't from the barbarian tribe. Lanshu. As soon as he arrived at Etion's battleship, Lu Ming saw Blue Merchant and was very excited. Blue Merchant also smiled. During this time, Blue Merchant had been staying with Etion. Lu Ming, why did you insist on coming? This time, the barbarian princes will fight for the throne. There will be a terrifying battle. It will be very dangerous. Etion sighed. This is a good opportunity for us to control the barbarian tribe. Of course, I have to help you. These are the helpers I brought. Lu Ming smiled and then pointed to Giant Bear and the others behind him. They were... Only then did Lan Shang and Yi Tian take a closer look at Giant Bear and the others. With one look, their pupils suddenly shrank, revealing a horrified expression. Blue Merchant was a 9th-level divine monarch when he was at his peak. His strongest part was his soul. Now, his soul power was even stronger than when he was at his peak. As for Yi Tian, he was even stronger. He was the leader of the 3 generals under Jing Yu, and his cultivation had reached the Boundary Emperor realm. Thus, the 2 of them had extremely powerful sensing abilities. As soon as they sensed, they found that the people brought by Lu Ming all had strong and vigorous auras. Their vitality was as exuberant as a volcano. Experts, all of them were experts. In an instant, they judged that these people were at least 8th-level divine monarchs. Especially Giant Bear. He stood there like a star that would explode at any time. It was extremely terrifying. Boom! Yi Tian involuntarily burst out with an aura that pressed towards Giant Bear. At the same time, Giant Bear instinctively burst out with an aura that collided with Yi Tian's aura. Boom! In the middle of the collision of the 2 auras, the space was directly torn apart, creating a dark space. However, both of them controlled their auras very well. The energy did not overflow. Both of them retracted their auras as soon as they appeared and did not cause a big shock. Boundary Emperor! Yi Tian exclaimed in shock. Blue Merchant was not much better. Lu Ming was not only accompanied by a large group of top experts, but also a Boundary Emperor. This was a Boundary Emperor who was already at the peak of forces like the Barbarian Tribe, Taishu Dynasty, and Tianyi Sacred Dynasty. There were not many such figures in the entire Taishu Dynasty. Apart from some hidden foundations, there were only a few Boundary Emperors on the surface. A quasi-emperor could play a decisive role in a battle. They finally understood that Lu Ming had to come. He only came because he had the confidence to do so. Good. Lu Ming, with them joining us, our chances of success will be greatly increased. Yi Tian was overjoyed. Tian, what's your plan? Also, what's the current situation of the Barbarian Tribe? Lu Ming asked. The Barbarian Tribe was different from the Taishu Dynasty. The Barbarian Emperor was in his prime, so he did not appoint a crown prince. There was also no prince who could suppress everyone. Therefore, when the Barbarian Emperor suddenly fell, the competition among the princes was very intense. Among them, 3 princes were the most powerful. They were the eldest prince, the 2nd prince, and the 5th prince. This was because these 3 princes each had the support of a Boundary Emperor. Yi Tian explained. Then which prince should we support? Lu Ming asked. Not any of the 3 princes, because these 3 princes are all very ambitious and talented. If we push them to the throne, we won't be able to control it. We need to support the 8th prince. He is relatively weak and not very talented. He is easy to control. Yi Tian said. Are you confident? Lu Ming asked. At first, I was not very confident. However, with your arrival, I am 100% confident. Yi Tian laughed. Chapter 35-21. Including me, there are a total of 5 Boundary Emperors in the Barbarian Tribe. The 3 strongest princes have the support of a Boundary Emperor each. The remaining 2 will remain neutral for the time being. Yi Tian continued. Which 2? Lu Ming asked. One is me and the other is the Lord of Sky Barbarian. Hence, the 3 princes are desperately trying to rope us in. As long as one of us is successfully roped in, the situation will be completely reversed. The 3 princes have sought me out more than 3 times, but I did not agree. Yi Tian said. What should we do next? It's simple. The Lord of Sky Barbarian has been hesitating on which prince to support. As I have not expressed my opinion, he is not sure which prince he will support. This guy is very cautious. He will only choose if he has full confidence. What we need to do now is to find the Lord of Sky Barbarian and let him know our strength. He will then choose our side. As for me, I will deliberately join the eldest prince's side. Then, we will be able to determine the outcome. Yi Tian said. All right, let's do that. Lu Ming nodded and exclaimed in his heart. Tian was indeed the leader of the 3 generals under Jingyu. He was meticulous and his plan was flawless. After a while, they set off for the residence of the Lord of Sky Barbarian. In the south of the barbarian tribe territory, a huge mountain was suspended in the starry sky. This mountain was incredibly huge, and it was not smaller than a planet. Countless berserkers lived on the mountain, and there were as many powerful warriors as there were clouds in the sky. This was the residence of the Lord of Sky Barbarian. At the highest point of the mountain was an incredibly tall and sturdy middle-aged berserker. He was sitting cross-legged and training, and as he did so, banging sounds came from his body. Space itself was trembling like a drum, and it was an incredibly terrifying sight. Lord of Sky Barbarian, Void Annihilation Marshal wants to see you. At this time, a burly barbarian came to report. Tian came to see me. He probably wanted to find out which prince I supported. This guy is very smart. Let him in. The Lord of Sky Barbarian smiled. Soon Tian flew in with Lu Ming, Giant Bear, Zhu Tai, and the others. However, Lu Ming only brought Giant Bear and 5 rank 9 Divine Lord experts. He did not bring the others. Tian, why did you come to my heavenly barbarian mountain instead of staying in the Void Extermination Stage army? The Sky Barbarian Lord smiled casually. A straightforward person does not resort to insinuations. Now that the Emperor of Berserkers has fallen, several princes are fighting for the position of the Emperor of Berserkers. It is impossible for us to remain completely neutral. We have to choose a prince to support. Tian went straight to the point. What you said makes sense. What about you? Which prince do you plan to support? The Sky Barbarian Lord smiled. He asked about Tian's choice first. He was smart. I won't hide it either. I've already sided with the 8th prince and supported him to become the Emperor of Berserkers. Tian said. What? This time, the Sky Barbarian Lord was taken aback. He was furious. Dao Tian, do you think I'm stupid? Do you think you can trick me with a lie? He thought Tian was tricking him into choosing the 8th prince. He did not believe it at all. Not to mention the 8th prince's talent, there was almost no one who supported the 8th prince. If he chose the 8th prince, how could he compete with the other 3 princes? In the end, he would definitely lose. It was better to choose the other princes than the 8th prince. Hence, he thought Tian was lying. Are you looking at me like I'm lying? If you don't believe me, I can swear on my life origin. Tian said with a serious face. Looking at Tian's expression, the Sky Barbarian Lord could not help but believe him. However, he frowned. But I want to know why. Why did you choose the 8th prince? If you chose the other princes, wouldn't you be more confident? The Sky Barbarian Lord said. I don't like the other 3 princes. All right, Sky Barbarian, I'm here to cooperate with you. Let's support the 8th prince to become the Emperor of Berserkers. How about that? Tian said. Support the 8th prince? The Sky Barbarian Lord smiled faintly. Tian, why should I choose the 8th prince? You should also know that the other 3 princes have already looked for me many times. As for the 8th prince, he is alone and weak. Even if he has the support of the 2 of us, he still doesn't have full confidence in winning. If I support the other princes, I will have a better chance. What if we join in? At this moment, Lu Ming spoke. What are you? The Sky Barbarian Lord sneered and looked at Lu Ming and the rest with disdain. Before this, he had not looked at Lu Ming and the rest. In his opinion, Lu Ming and the rest were just Tian's subordinates. They were not qualified for him to look at. But at this moment, when he glanced over, he swallowed the words he was about to say, and his pupils shrank. Lu Ming was naturally ignored by him. The main reason was that the people behind Lu Ming were too shocking. The Sky Barbarian Lord could tell at a glance that there were 5 9th-level Divine Lords. The most shocking one was Zhu Xiong. He had a strong aura and was at the same level as the Sky Barbarian Lord. The disdain on his face disappeared. He quickly cupped his fists and said, Sorry for the disrespect. Now we're qualified. Lu Ming continued. The Sky Barbarian Lord was displeased. He was talking to Zhu Xiong and the rest. How could Lu Ming, a supreme being, interrupt? Don't you understand that the juniors should not interrupt when the seniors are talking? The Sky Barbarian Lord looked at Lu Ming unhappily. Boom! As soon as the Sky Barbarian Lord finished speaking, Zhu Xiong took a step forward and a powerful aura fell on the Sky Barbarian Lord. He said coldly, "His words are our words. His words are our words. Do you understand?" What? This time, the Sky Barbarian Lord was even more shocked. It turned out that so many powerful figures were actually obeying Lu Ming's orders. 1 Boundary Emperor and 5 9th-level Divine Lords listened to Lu Ming. What was Lu Ming's background? It must be shocking. He knew that he had completely underestimated Lu Ming. The Sky Barbarian Lord thought quickly. How about it, Sky Barbarian? With our strength and yours, we have a 99% chance of winning if we support the 8th Prince. Etian said with a smile. The Sky Barbarian Lord's eyes flickered as he pondered. After a while, he said, "Okay, I agree to work with you to support the 8th Prince." He finally made a decision. Etian and Lu Ming already had 2 Boundary Emperors. In addition to the 5 9th-level Divine Lords behind Lu Ming and Etian's Void Annihilation Army, their strength was shocking. Even if he chose another prince to join them, they might not win. After all, if he chose one prince, there were still 2 other princes and the 8th prince. The situation was extremely complicated and they had no chance of winning. However, if he chose the 8th prince, they would have a much higher chance of winning. Chapter 35-22. The Lord of Sky Barbarian agreed to support the 8th prince. Next, they discussed the details. Etian and Lu Ming took their leave. Tian, does the barbarian tribe really only have 5 Boundary Emperors? They should have some hidden power, right? Lu Ming asked Etian on the way. That's right. The barbarian tribe naturally has hidden power and a few hidden Boundary Emperors. Etian said. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. If that's the case, if the other princes get help from these people, won't we lose? Etian laughed. The barbarian tribe was very different from the Taishu dynasty. The hidden experts of the barbarian tribe would not intervene in the fight between the princes. They only took orders from the barbarian emperor. They would only take action when the barbarian tribe was in danger. Therefore, even if the princes fought to the death, they would not intervene. They would only appear and serve the new barbarian emperor when one of the princes sat on the throne. I see. Lu Ming nodded. Soon after, they returned to the Void Destroyer army and went to meet the 8th prince. The 8th prince was pleasantly surprised to know that there were so many experts. A few days later, the 1st prince sent someone to invite Etian to support the 1st prince. This time, Etian agreed directly. Of course, he agreed on purpose. This was also part of their plan. Etian deliberately sided with the 1st prince to deal with the other 2 princes and then the 1st prince. Everything was ready. They just had to wait for 2 months. 2 months was half a year after the barbarian emperor's death. According to the barbarian tribe's rules, a new barbarian emperor could be elected half a year after the barbarian emperor's death. At that time, most of the senior figures of the barbarian tribe would gather. Victory and defeat would be decided at that time. Time flew by. In the blink of an eye, 2 months had passed. That day was a major event for the barbarian tribe. Countless experts and senior figures gathered at the holy capital of the barbarian tribe. They knew that the new barbarian emperor was about to be born. Lu Ming, Etian, the 8th prince, the Lord of Sky Barbarian, and the others also came to the holy capital of the barbarian tribe. In front of the barbarian race's holy capital, there was a huge square where countless barbarians were gathered. Lu Ming and the others sat in a corner and waited quietly, keeping a low profile. The 5th prince had arrived. Someone exclaimed softly. From the right, a large group of people stepped through the air, and a terrifying pressure surged over from that direction. An expert. They were all experts. There were too many experts in this group. The leader was a berserker who looked to be in his 30s. This person was the 5th prince of the berserker race. Following closely beside him was an old man. The aura that this old man emitted was exceptionally terrifying. Quasi-emperor. Lu Ming immediately determined that this old man was a quasi-emperor. 5th brother, what an imposing manner. Are you trying to show us who's boss? A sneer was heard as a group of people flew over from another direction. The auras of this group of people were equally terrifying. When they clashed with the auras of the fifth prince's group, intense explosions rang out in the sky. The second prince. Someone whispered. All right, sit down. How can you be so hostile when you just arrived? A cold shout came from the north. There was also a group of people who stepped through the air. The leader was a burly middle-aged man. Everyone recognized that he was the first prince. Hee. The second prince and the fifth prince both sneered and looked displeased. They were displeased that the first prince was reprimanding them. Brother, you haven't become the barbarian emperor yet. Don't talk to us in such a tone. The second prince said unhappily and led his people to sit down in an area. The fifth prince also led his people to sit down. The first prince snorted coldly, and a strong murderous intent flashed in the depths of his eyes. Then he led his people to the northern area and sat down. All right, almost everyone is here today. Now, let's start discussing the important matters. The first prince stood up and spoke first. The scene suddenly became so quiet that one could hear a pin drop. Everyone knew that the main event was about to begin. Father was ambushed by the Wu people and died. Now, the barbarian tribe is without a ruler. However, a country can't be without a ruler for a day. Now, half a year has passed. It's time to elect a new barbarian emperor. The first prince's voice echoed throughout the hall. Hee. Then who do you think is more suitable to be the barbarian emperor? The second prince asked with a cold smile. Since second brother asked, I'll get straight to the point. Since ancient times, there has been an order of seniority. Father has died, so naturally I, the eldest son, will inherit the barbarian emperor's throne. The first prince said. Haha. As soon as the first prince finished speaking, the second prince laughed disdainfully. Second brother, what are you laughing at? The first prince asked with a gloomy expression. What era is it now? Why is there still an order of seniority? In my opinion, the barbarian emperor's throne is very important. We must choose a prince with the highest talent, the strongest strength, and the best future. Only then will the barbarian tribe have a future and become more prosperous. The second prince said loudly. Among the princes, in terms of talent and cultivation, the second prince was indeed the best. He was slightly stronger than the first prince and the fifth prince. What a joke! The barbarian emperor is the ruler of the tribe. What's the use of having a slightly stronger cultivation? The first prince said. You're saying that you're very convincing? The second prince retorted. Of course. The first prince said confidently. Second brother, you don't have to disagree with me. I now announce that I will inherit the barbarian emperor's throne. Who has any objections? I have objections. The second prince shouted as soon as the first prince finished speaking. How dare you? The first prince shouted coldly with a gloomy expression. Second brother, I'm the eldest. You're offending me. Since that's the case, I'll teach you a lesson on behalf of father. With that, the first prince waved his hand. Boom! A middle-aged barbarian stepped out from behind the first prince. A violent aura burst out from him, causing heaven and earth to shake violently. The middle-aged man was a quasi-emperor stage cultivator. The aura of a quasi-emperor covered the sky and pressed down on the second prince. However, another quasi-emperor stepped out from behind the second prince. A terrifying aura spread out. The two terrifying auras collided, causing heaven and earth to explode. Some of the weaker cultivators were so scared that their organs trembled and they were almost scared to death. A battle between quasi-emperors was too terrifying. Teach me a lesson on behalf of father? Do you have the right to do that? The second prince sneered. You don't know what's good for you. The first prince shouted coldly. Boom! In an instant, the two quasi-emperors exchanged blows. They shot up into the sky, entered the starry sky, and exchanged blows. Boom! Heaven and earth shook violently. The starry sky in the distance trembled non-stop. A large number of stars were trembling. The barbarian tribe's holy capital was similar to the great illusionary saint capital. It was covered with a large array. At this moment, it was shining brightly. Chapter 35-23. Boom! 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 The two quasi-emperors fought fiercely, and it was hard to determine the winner. You have a quasi-emperor, so do I. You have the support of a 9th-level divine lord, so do I. What makes you the barbaric emperor? I should be the barbaric emperor. Now let's fight it out. The second prince sneered and stepped out. He wanted to fight the first prince. Throughout this process, the fifth prince remained seated and did not utter a word. His eyes were filled with surprise. He really didn't expect that the first prince and the second prince would actually start fighting. This was great news for him. If the first prince and the second prince were both seriously injured, he would be able to reap the benefits without doing anything. He would be a fool to speak at this time. The first prince and the second prince were confronting each other, and their subordinates were also confronting each other. There was no lack of 9th-level divine lords among them. However, they did not make a move. Instead, they watched the battle in the starry sky. Quasi-emperors were much stronger than ordinary 9th-level divine lords. Once the quasi-emperors were defeated, it would directly affect the balance of the battle. In the blink of an eye, the two had exchanged more than 100 moves. The battle was extremely intense. The two quasi-emperors also used their full strength. This was also related to their future. At this time, the first prince looked at Etion and secretly gave him a look. He dared to make a move because of Etion. Etion had already surrendered to him, but he did not expose himself. He wanted to determine the winner at the critical moment. And now was the critical moment. Seeing the first prince's look, Etion naturally understood. Then, with a swoosh, he soared into the sky and rushed into the battle between the two quasi-emperors. Etion's sudden attack was too unexpected. It was beyond the expectations of many, including the quasi-emperor who supported the second prince. He did not expect Etion to suddenly make a move. Of course, the quasi-emperor who supported the first prince naturally knew. At this moment, he used his strongest move to attack his opponent. The quasi-emperor who supported the second prince shouted angrily. He could only block the attack, but Etion had already arrived. Boom! Etion threw a punch. The quasi-emperor who supported the second prince could not block it and was directly hit in the chest. The full power attack of a quasi-emperor was extremely terrifying. The quasi-emperor supporting the second prince screamed as his body was sent flying, crashing into a huge planet. That planet was directly pierced through before crashing into another planet. A large hole had been blasted open in his chest. His bones had been shattered. With just this move, the other party was already severely injured. The first prince's quasi-emperor seized the opportunity and chased after him, launching another thunderous attack. The second prince's quasi-emperor screamed miserably. Half of his body exploded and he almost died. Although he was not dead, his aura was weak and he no longer had the strength to fight. His head was grabbed by the quasi-emperor of the first prince, and his life was in his hands. The scene fell into a deathly silence. Everything happened too quickly. From Etion's attack to the second prince's quasi-emperor being severely injured, it only took an instant. Don't kill him. The first prince's voice spread far and wide. That was a quasi-emperor. It would be a pity to kill him as long as he was severely injured. He was the one who wanted to become the barbarian emperor. If he killed all of them, he would have no subordinates he could use. What was the point of being the barbarian emperor then? Impossible, impossible. At that moment, the second prince came to his senses. His face was pale and he kept shaking his head, unable to accept what had happened. It was over. He knew that he was done for. The quasi-emperor had been defeated. He was finished. Moreover, Etion had also sided with the first prince. He was no longer qualified to fight back. Beside him, the fifth prince's face was also pale. How could this be? This scene was completely out of his expectations. Weren't Etion and the Lord of Sky Barbarian neutral? Why did Etion suddenly side with the first prince? Initially, he was very happy to see the battle between the first prince and the second prince. He thought that he could reap the benefits without doing anything. He did not expect the second prince to be defeated in the blink of an eye. At that moment, the fifth prince was filled with regret. If he had known earlier, he would have joined forces with the second prince. Swoosh! The first prince's quasi-emperor appeared in front of the fifth prince. Second brother, kill yourself. You have already lost. The first prince said coldly. If he lost, he would die. No, impossible. The second prince roared and looked at the fifth prince. Fifth brother, we might be able to defeat him if we join forces. Otherwise, we will die. You are courting death. Kill. The first prince shouted, not giving the fifth prince time to react. Boom, boom. Etion and the first prince's quasi-emperor charged towards the second prince. The terrifying aura made the second prince's face turn pale and his body tremble. There were many experts beside the second prince. There were 9th and 8th level divine lords. However, at that moment, their eyes flickered. For a moment, no one stepped forward. They were not enough to face two quasi-emperors. While they were stunned, the second prince was already in Etion's hands. Let me go, big brother. Spare me. Spare me. The second prince was almost scared to death. He screamed crazily. Although his cultivation was not weak, he was not strong enough in front of Etion. To be honest, the barbarian emperor was not very old back then. Therefore, the barbarian tribe princes were much younger than the crown prince and second prince of the Taishu dynasty. Their cultivation was naturally not comparable to the crown prince and second prince of the Taishu dynasty. Not to mention Etion. I gave you a chance before. Unfortunately, you did not know how to cherish it. The first prince sneered. He took a step forward and charged towards the second prince like lightning. Then, a sword light flashed in his hand and slashed down. With a puff, the second prince was directly killed. The scene was silent. No one was too surprised by this scene. Almost everyone expected that there would be a bloody massacre today. It had always been like this. If you lost the fight for the throne, you would die. It did not matter if you were brothers. It was just that cruel. I'm willing to submit to the first prince. I'm also willing to support the first prince to become the barbarian emperor. The second prince's subordinates immediately surrendered when they saw that the second prince was dead. Great, huh? The first prince was overjoyed. After dealing with the second prince, the outcome was set. There was only the fifth prince left. He was not a threat. Fifth brother at that moment, the first prince looked at the fifth prince. Big brother. The fifth prince's face was pale. He could not speak clearly. Fifth brother, I'll give you a chance. I won't kill you. Destroy your own cultivation. The first prince said lightly. What? You want to destroy my cultivation? No, impossible. The fifth prince roared. If his cultivation was destroyed, how was he different from a cripple? This was something that no cultivator could accept. Big brother, I won't fight with you anymore. Let me go. Don't destroy my cultivation. The fifth prince roared and began to beg for mercy. Chapter 35-24. Impossible. If I don't destroy your cultivation, I can only send you to accompany my second brother. The first prince said coldly. In the barbarian tribe, the second prince and the fifth prince had great power and had won over a large number of experts. As long as the fifth prince was not dead or still had his cultivation, he would be a potential threat to his position. He would not allow this to happen. Fifth prince, let's go. Let's leave this place first before we come up with a countermeasure. At this moment, the elder behind the fifth prince transmitted his voice to him. Then, a force wrapped around the fifth prince and took him to the sky in an attempt to escape. Trying to escape? Take them down and kill them without mercy. The first prince roared. Etion and the other boundary emperor were already prepared. They had their eyes on the fifth prince and the boundary emperor beside him. As soon as the other party moved, they moved as well. Their speed was amazing and they caught up in an instant. Two terrifying attacks were launched at the fifth prince and the elder. The elder roared and used all his strength to fight back. However, he was alone after all. It was difficult for him to fight against two experts. After exchanging one blow, he retreated and his face turned pale. You guys, come and help me. The elder roared at the fifth prince's subordinates. Among those people, there were 9th and 8th realm divine lords. If they were to help, they would be able to hold Etion and the rest back for a while so that they could escape. The fifth prince's subordinates were hesitant. Now that the situation had been decided, if they were to take action, they would be going against the first prince. They would not have a good ending. With this hesitation, the first prince's subordinates rushed over and surrounded these people, leaving them no room to attack. In the sky, Etion and the elder continued to attack. The two of them were fighting against one person. Moreover, the other party was carrying the fifth prince and had to protect him. They were no match for them. Even if they tried their best to resist, it would be difficult to fight back. After barely blocking more than 10 blows, he was hit and coughed up blood. Old Wu, hold them back. I'll go first. The fifth prince roared and flew backward, allowing the elder to block Etion and the elder. Unfortunately, in such a situation, he would only die faster if he left Old Wu's protection. Boom boom. The three boundary emperors exchanged another blow. Old Wu retreated and his injuries worsened. Moreover, the terrifying energy swept out in all directions. A few of the energy surged towards the fifth prince at an astonishing speed. No, no! The fifth prince roared in fright as he tried his best to block the attack. However, this was the energy produced by the battle between three quasi-emperors. How could he withstand it? The force swept over, and the fifth prince did not even have the chance to scream before he exploded, his body and soul destroyed. Forget it! With the fifth prince dead, Old Wu let out a long sigh and finally stopped resisting. Etion continuously tapped his body, sealing his cultivation. Just like that, the second prince and the fifth prince were defeated. The outcome has been decided. It seems that the eldest prince is more powerful. He actually managed to win over Etion. That's right. With two quasi-emperors helping him, he defeated the other two princes at lightning speed. Good moves. The throne of the Berserker Emperor will belong to him. Many people were discussing this matter. As for the first prince, his face was filled with joy and he was in high spirits. He stood high up in the sky and looked down at everyone. His voice rang out, "Now, I've inherited the position of the barbarian emperor. Is there anyone else who has any objections?" The scene was dead silent. Since there are no objections, let's begin the coronation ceremony. Today, I'm the barbarian emperor. The first prince said loudly. Wait a minute. However, at that moment, a discordant voice rang out. The first prince's face turned gloomy as he looked in a direction. That was where the eighth prince was standing. It was the eighth prince who had spoken earlier. Eighth brother, what do you mean by asking me to wait a minute? A cold light flashed in the first prince's eyes as he stared at the eighth prince. The eighth prince's face turned pale. He was still afraid of the first prince. However, when he thought of Etion, the master of Sky Barbarian, Lu Ming, and the others standing behind him, his courage was boosted. Everyone wanted the throne of the barbarian emperor, and he was no exception. In the past, he did not have the strength and backing to fight for it. Now that he had the strength to fight for it, why not? I don't think it's appropriate for eldest brother to be the barbarian emperor. The eighth prince took a deep breath and spoke. As soon as he said that, the scene fell into dead silence. Many people sucked in a breath of cold air and looked at the eighth prince in horror. What's wrong with the eighth prince? Is he courting death? Didn't he see what happened to the second prince and the fifth prince? At this time, the eighth prince still dared to say such words. Is he crazy? Or is he tired of living? The first prince narrowed his eyes and exuded a cold, murderous intent. Eighth brother, you said that I'm not suitable to be the barbarian emperor. Who do you think is suitable to be the barbarian emperor? The first prince said coldly. Everyone could hear the murderous intent in his voice. Me. The eighth prince replied. The scene fell silent again. Everyone looked at the eighth prince as if he was a fool. What did the eighth prince say? He's suitable to be the barbarian emperor? He's crazy. He's really crazy. The eighth prince, who is not talented enough and has no support, wants to be the barbarian emperor? Is this a joke? Or is he tired of living? The first prince's face darkened. His murderous intent was extremely cold. Haha. In the end, the first prince laughed from extreme anger and said, Eighth brother, originally, you just need to enjoy life properly. A trash like you, I can't be bothered to touch you either. Unfortunately, you're tired of living and want to come out and court death yourself. Then I'll fulfill your wish. Send eighth brother on his way. The first prince instructed a subordinate. That subordinate was a 9th-level divine lord existence. He was also a pinnacle figure in the barbarian race. Killing an 8th prince did not require a quasi-emperor to take action. Swoosh! That 9th-level divine lord powerhouse's figure flashed, charging toward the 8th prince. His speed was swift to an astonishing extent. Beside the 8th prince, sitting there was Lu Ming. Without even needing Lu Ming to open his mouth, Zhu Tai beside Lu Ming made a move. Bang! Zhu Tai smacked a palm out, exchanging a move with the other party. A terrifying explosion sounded out. That subordinate of the first prince was blocked, his figure drifting backward. This made the first prince's eyes narrow slightly. 9th-level divine lord, 8th brother, looks like you have experts around you too. No wonder you dare to talk to me like this. But wanting to compete with me with just a 9th-level divine lord, it's truly too naive. The first prince said. Who said that there's only one 9th-level divine lord? At this time, Lu Ming's indifferent voice sounded out, attracting many people's gazes. However, Lu Ming and the rest were wearing black robes. This kind of black robes material was special, others could not see through them immediately. A divine king realm trash, is it your turn to speak here? The first prince said coldly. Then what about us? Giant Bear and the rest gave a light cry, all taking a step out, standing in front of Lu Ming. Following that, powerful auras erupted from their bodies. A terrifying pressure filled the air. Chapter 35-25. The aura of Giant Bear and the others burst out. It was like a mountain that stood between heaven and earth. The terrifying pressure made many people's faces change drastically. Boundary Emperor, you? How do you have a Boundary Emperor? The eldest prince's face changed drastically as he roared in disbelief. His 8th brother had always been incompetent. How could he have a Boundary Emperor by his side? Not only were there Boundary Emperors, but there were also as many as 5 9th-level divine lords. This was a terrifying force. The others around were also shocked. Their hearts were in turmoil. Eldest brother, you're not the only one who can have a Boundary Emperor following you. I have one too. The 8th prince's face was filled with confidence. Hee, 8th brother, it seems that everyone has underestimated you. However, with just one Boundary Emperor and 5 9th-level divine lords, do you think you can compete with me? Didn't you see what happened to 2nd brother and 5th brother? Also, you're really stupid. You only jumped out now. If I were you, I would have taken action earlier to fight me with 5th brother and 2nd brother. That way, there would still be a glimmer of hope. The eldest prince sneered, his face full of ridicule. Finally, he waved his hand and said coldly, Send 8th brother on his way. As soon as the eldest prince's voice fell, the Boundary Emperor who had defected to him moved. His figure was like lightning as he charged towards the 8th prince. However, Giant Bear roared angrily and slammed his paw against the Boundary Emperor. Both of them swayed and retreated slightly. However, Etion remained motionless. The eldest prince frowned and said, Ian, why aren't you attacking? If I attacked, you would already be dead. Etion said lightly. What? Hearing this, the eldest prince's hair stood on end. He quickly retreated and stared at Etion. What did you say? Eldest brother, didn't you hear what Marshal Etion said? Then let me tell you. Marshal Etion is my man. Do you understand? What? As soon as these words were spoken, the entire place exploded. Everyone was dumbfounded. Etion was actually the 8th prince's man. Then why was he by the eldest prince's side and helping him deal with the 2nd prince and 5th prince? Turn you traitor! The eldest prince roared. Traitor? From the very beginning, I had sided with the 8th prince. The reason why I agreed to your request was because I wanted to borrow your strength to deal with the 2nd prince and the 5th prince. Etion sneered. Everyone suddenly understood. So that was how it was. Etion first borrowed the eldest prince's power to deal with the 2nd prince and the 5th prince. Then, he helped the 8th prince deal with the eldest prince. What the profound scheme! The first prince's expression was extremely ugly. The figures of his subordinates flashed as they surrounded the first prince to protect him. All right, Alright, Tian, eighth brother, I have really underestimated you. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. Instead, I have become the mantis. However, although you have two quasi-emperors, the outcome of today's battle remains to be seen. The first prince bellowed and slowly regained his composure. Although the eighth prince had two quasi-emperors, he was not afraid because he had more experts by his side. Although he was only a quasi-emperor, he had more 9th level and 8th level Divine Lord experts. With so many experts working together, they might be able to fight Etion and the others. After all, the 8th prince's foundation was not strong enough. He did not have as many 9th level and 8th level Divine Lords as he did. What if you include me? At this moment, another faint voice was heard. Then a group of people stepped out. The leader was the Lord of Sky Barbarian. The others were his subordinates. The Lord of Sky Barbarian led his men to the back of the first prince and blocked his escape route. At this moment, everyone was dumbfounded. The Lord of Sky Barbarian also wanted to intervene and help the 8th prince? Wasn't the Lord of Sky Barbarian neutral all this while? No one could figure it out, including the first prince. His pupils shrank rapidly and his face looked as though he had eaten a dead rat. He looked at the Lord of Sky Barbarian in shock and shouted, "Lord of Sky Barbarian, you are also one of the 8th brother's men?" "That's right," the Lord of Sky Barbarian said flatly. The first prince roared. He could not figure out why these experts were helping the 8th prince. "Eldest brother, destroy your own cultivation and I will spare your life," the 8th prince said flatly. "Don't even think about destroying my cultivation. Don't even think about it. Kill this bastard. Kill him." The first prince roared crazily with a ferocious face. However, the eyes of his subordinates flickered. There were 3 quasi-emperors around the 8th prince. The disparity in power was too great. If they were to fight, they would be in grave danger. They were only helping the first prince because of his wealth. There was no need for them to die with the first prince. "8th prince, I am willing to pledge allegiance to you." "Prince Mu, I am willing to pledge my loyalty to you." A few silhouettes left the first prince's side and bowed to the 8th prince. You traitors!" The first prince's eyes were red and he was furious. In the end, he roared, "I will kill all of you traitors." Having said that, he pounced on those people. However, the figures of those people flashed and avoided the first prince. "First prince, admit defeat." At this moment, the quasi-emperor who had pledged allegiance to the first prince let out a long sigh. The first prince froze and trembled as though he had been electrocuted. "Haha, you want me to surrender? You want me to destroy my cultivation? Impossible. I would rather die than destroy my cultivation. 8th brother, let's fight to the death." The first prince laughed and charged towards the 8th prince. The dazzling sword light went straight for the 8th prince's glabella. However, Etion and the others were beside him. How could the first prince kill the 8th prince? "Stubborn. I have no choice but to send you on your way," Etion said coldly as he threw a punch. The terrifying fist force made the crown prince scream in pain. His body retreated like a scarecrow and fell heavily to the ground, coughing up blood. He was severely injured and no longer had the strength to fight. However, Etion did not kill the first prince. He could not kill the first prince and could only leave it to the 8th prince. "8th prince, since the first prince wants to die, let's fulfill his wish," Etion said. Hesitation flashed in the 8th prince's eyes. Finally, he gritted his teeth and took a step forward. A long sword appeared in his hand. He pierced the first prince's glabella and killed him. At this point, the first prince, second prince, and 5th prince, the 3 princes who were most likely to compete for the throne, had all fallen. Everyone's gaze fell on the 8th prince. Unexpectedly, the 8th prince, who had been ignored at the beginning, became the one who succeeded in the end. This was beyond everyone's expectations. "Greetings, barbaric emperor." Etion was the first to bow. "Greetings, barbaric emperor." Then, the Sky Barbarian Overlord and the others followed suit. The others reacted and bowed as well. Chapter 35-26. Lu Ming smiled. If the eighth prince ascended the throne and became the barbarian emperor, he would at least have the support of some of the barbarian tribe experts if there were any changes in the Taishu dynasty in the future. This was extremely beneficial to him. In this way, the barbarian tribe would not only not be his enemy but also his helper. At the critical moment, he would probably be able to give his enemies a huge surprise. After that, Lu Ming and the others had nothing to do. It was nothing more than the eighth prince ascending the throne and becoming the barbarian emperor. After that, they would hold important meetings. 3 days later, Lu Ming led Giant Bear and the others to bid farewell to Etian. This time, Blue Merchant planned to return to the Taishu dynasty with Lu Ming. Of course, they could not do so openly. They had to return secretly. Etian wanted to follow Lu Ming. However, the new barbarian emperor had just ascended the throne. Etian had to stay to stabilize the barbarian emperor and make him obedient. This way, they could borrow the power of the barbarian tribe in the future. Lu Ming left with the others without alerting anyone. They returned to the hidden dragon star quietly. After a while, peace was restored. Lu Ming sent people to search for news of his parents while cultivating. The Dark Ape Fighting Tribe also stepped up their cultivation of the primitive divine body and made great progress. Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, 100 years had passed. In the backyard of the hidden dragon star, Lu Ming and Blue Merchant were drinking wine. Lan Shu, I have a question that I have always been curious about. Lu Ming took a sip of wine and asked, "What is it?" Blue Merchant said, "Since the last time I went to the barbarian tribe, I feel that the strength of the barbarian tribe is far from that of the Taishu dynasty at its peak." Lu Ming said, "In addition to those hidden resources, the barbarian tribe only had 5 quasi-emperors on the surface. Including the former barbarian emperor, there were only 6 quasi-emperors. However, Etian was not a barbarian. He belonged to the Taishu dynasty. According to what Lu Ming knew, there were more than 6 quasi-emperors in the Taishu dynasty. Especially when Jingyu was still alive, Etian also belonged to the Taishu dynasty. In addition, it was said that Jingyu had also reached the quasi-emperor realm. Their overall strength was stronger than the barbarians. That's right. When Jingyu was still alive, the strength of the Taishu dynasty reached its peak. It was indeed much stronger than the barbarian tribe. It could even destroy the barbarian tribe. However, because the Taishu dynasty was too strong, the Tianyi sacred dynasty and the barbarian tribe formed an alliance to fight against the Taishu dynasty. Blue Merchant said, "I see." Lu Ming nodded. No wonder the Taishu dynasty, which was so powerful, did not destroy the barbarian race. It turned out that the barbarian race and the Tianyi sacred dynasty had formed an alliance. Later, when the Taishu dynasty weakened, the alliance between the Tianyi sacred dynasty and the barbarian tribe was dissolved. In this way, the 3 forces always maintained a balance. Uncle Lan, was Prince Jingyu really at the quasi-emperor realm? Lu Ming asked curiously. That's right. Prince Jingyu was the youngest quasi-emperor in the history of the Taishu dynasty. His combat strength was unparalleled. He was the real #1 expert in the Taishu dynasty. Even the current sacred emperor was no match for him. Blue Merchant said with nostalgia in his eyes. The #1 expert. Lu Ming frowned and said, since Prince Jingyu was so strong, how could he be killed later? As long as he resisted, no one in the Taishu dynasty could kill him. Prince Jingyu was a peerless genius. He was invincible among those of the same level. Such a person could even fight those of a higher level. Even if there were more experts of the same level besieging him, it was impossible to kill him. Lu Ming was puzzled. Sigh, it's all because of that woman, the current sacred imperial concubine, Kong Shishue. Lan Shang gave a long sigh. Sacred imperial concubine? Lan Shu, what happened back then? Lu Ming asked. He had only heard rumors that Prince Jingyu had violated the sacred imperial concubine and met with misfortune. Lu Ming, now that you have great power, it's time to tell you. Blue Merchant paused for a moment and continued, in fact, the sacred imperial concubine and Jingyu were lovers at the beginning. They were truly in love and were regarded as a golden couple by everyone. What? Lu Ming was stunned. His mouth was wide open and he looked incredulous. This result was really out of Lu Ming's expectations. He never thought that the sacred imperial concubine was Jingyu's lover at the beginning. However, Jingyu went into seclusion to break through to the next level. He went into seclusion for 1,000 years. When he came out, Kong Shishue had already become the sacred imperial concubine. That was a huge blow to Jingyu. Moreover, Jingyu's cultivation had not reached the great accomplishment stage and he could not resist. When Lan Shang sat up to hear, he let out another long sigh. Lu Ming was also silent. He could understand how big of a blow that was to Jingyu. In one seclusion, his former lover had become his mother. What a cliché. Could it be that Jingyu really violated the sacred imperial concubine? Lu Ming could not help but have this thought. The sacred imperial concubine was Jingyu's first lover. It was not impossible that he could not let go of her. If that was the case, how could the case be overturned? Don't think too much. Blue Merchant seemed to have seen through Lu Ming's thoughts and immediately said, I know Jingyu very well. He is definitely not that kind of person and would never do such a thing. Jingyu must have been framed back then. They were caught red-handed by the sacred imperial concubine. The sacred imperial concubine was furious and attacked directly. Jingyu did not even have time to react before he was severely injured. Otherwise, no one in the Taishu dynasty could have killed him. If someone framed Prince Jingyu, then the sacred imperial concubine must be involved. After so many years, has no one confronted the sacred imperial concubine? Lu Ming asked. I have thought about this for a long time, but the sacred imperial concubine has been living in seclusion all these years. Ordinary people can't see her at all. Moreover, the matter between the sacred imperial concubine and Jingyu has become a taboo. No one dares to mention it. I have tried many times to see the sacred imperial concubine, but I was stopped. Blue Merchant sighed. It seems that if we want to overturn the case, we have to start with the sacred imperial concubine. She probably knows all the secrets. Lu Ming said, but he frowned. How could he meet the sacred imperial concubine? And how could he make her reveal the secrets? The sacred imperial concubine had abandoned Jingyu and married the sacred emperor. Later on, she had framed Jingyu. This showed how vicious this woman was. It was almost impossible to get her to reveal the secrets herself. I'm afraid that the sacred imperial concubine wasn't the only one who did that. There must be other conspirators behind the scenes. Blue Merchant said. Crown Prince. Lu Ming immediately thought of the Crown Prince. Back then, Jingyu was too outstanding and seriously threatened the Crown Prince's position. The Crown Prince had 100 reasons to frame Jingyu. It's hard to say. I have secretly investigated these years, but I haven't made much progress. Blue Merchant said. The main reason was that his cultivation was crippled and he did not have much strength. After chatting with Blue Merchant for a while, Lu Ming fell into deep thought. He slowly sorted out the information he had just received and organized his thoughts. There must be a big secret in this matter. Chapter 35-27. In the beginning, the imperial concubine Kong Shishue and Jingyu were lovers. Then, after Jingyu went into seclusion, Kong Shishue married the imperial concubine. Later on, when Jingyu's cultivation reached a high level, he was framed and caught by the imperial concubine. The imperial concubine attacked and injured Jingyu severely. Something must have happened. Otherwise, with Jingyu's cultivation, how could he not fight back and be severely injured? Could it be that Jingyu was seriously injured because he saw the imperial concubine suddenly arrive? Or was there another reason? After Jingyu was severely injured, Jingyu's forces were besieged by the imperial concubine. Some were killed, some were sealed, and some escaped. Even Blue Merchant's star core was destroyed. However, Jingyu's subordinates were certain that Jingyu was wrongly accused. This was because Blue Merchant said that after Jingyu was severely injured, he was executed in public. However, at the crucial moment, Jingyu sent a message to Blue Merchant, saying that he was wrongly accused. This sentence was enough for him. Blue Merchant and the others firmly believed that Jingyu was wrongly accused because they knew Jingyu's character too well. Therefore, They wanted to overturn Jing Yu's case. I'm afraid there's a deep secret in this matter. How should we proceed? Lu Ming rubbed his forehead, feeling a headache coming on. Now, his cultivation had reached the peak of the 9th layer of the Divine King realm. He was not far from the Divine Lord realm. Back then, Xian Yanqing had asked Hong Yang to leave him a jade talisman. The talisman said that the location of Xian Yanqing's group was sealed in it. As long as Lu Ming's cultivation reached the Divine Lord realm, he would be able to break the seal and find out the location of Xian Yanqing's group. Also, Autumn Moon might have gone to the Divine Dragon Mother planet. He had to search for her. However, he had promised Jing Yu that it would be difficult for him to leave until the matter of the Taishu dynasty was resolved. Therefore, the matter of the Taishu dynasty had to be resolved as soon as possible. Taishu dynasty, Imperial Palace. Congratulations, Imperial Father. I did not let you down and found the Twin Life Stone. As long as you refine the Twin Life Stone, you may break through to the Divine Emperor realm and enjoy 100 stellar years of life. The second prince bowed to the Taishu Sage Emperor, holding a jade box in his hand. At this moment, the great Void Saint Emperor was extremely excited. Divine power burst forth, and the jade box in the second prince's hand appeared in his hand. Taishu opened the jade box. There was a stone the size of the Twin Life. This piece of rock had 2 colors, and multicolored light constantly flowed on it. It was incomparably magical. Twin Life Stone. Is this the legendary Twin Life Stone? The Taishu Sacred Emperor's breathing quickened. There was a peerless treasure in this world called the 3 Lives Stone. This was the life had 3 lifetimes of the 3 lifetimes of the divine heavens. Was life was life was life was living was life. Of course, the Twin Life Stone was not the 3 Life Stone. Legend had it that it was a companion item to the 3 Life Stone, but it was also extremely rare. This was a treasure that could only be found by chance. It was 10,000 times more valuable than the divine pearls. Good. You have done a great service this time. The Taishu Sacred Emperor praised the 3 Life Stone. For someone like him who was nearing the end of his lifespan, nothing was more tempting than the Twin Life Stone. Ever since he had lived 10 stellar years of life, he could clearly feel that he was getting weaker and weaker. No matter how many spiritual pills and precious treasures he used, it was useless. His soul was shrinking and drying up day by day. If this continued, he would not be able to hold on for another 200 years before he disappeared. 200 years was just a blink of an eye to them. During this time, he had become more and more irritable. Imperial Father, the Twin Life Stone is not the 3 Life Stone. It has a great drawback. After refining it, there is only a 50% success rate. Once you succeed, you will be able to live another life and even have a breakthrough in your cultivation. However, if you fail, you will completely fall and vanish into thin air. The second prince bowed and said, even if there is only a 50% success rate, we have to give it a try. The Taishu Sacred Emperor's eyes were burning. How could he not know about the drawbacks of the Twin Life Stone? However, if he did not try, he would die. If he succeeded, he would break through to the Divine Emperor realm and become a true Divine Emperor. Not only would he be extremely powerful, but his lifespan would also reach 100 stellar years. One had to know that since the establishment of the Taishu dynasty, it had only been 50 stellar years. How long was that? Even if there was only a 10% chance of success, he had to give it a try, let alone a 50% success rate. Then let me congratulate Imperial Father in advance for your successful breakthrough. The second prince bowed and said, Good. You may leave. I will study it first. The Taishu Sacred Emperor waved his hand. The second prince left. Not long after, in the depths of the second prince's residence. Second prince, did you really give His Majesty the Twin Life Stone? One of the second prince's trusted aides asked. This person was an old man in a yellow robe. The real Twin Life Stone? How is that possible? This kind of treasure is extremely rare. If I had the real Twin Life Stone, why would I give it to that old man? The second prince smiled faintly. It's fake. If the Divine Emperor finds out about it, I'm afraid it will be detrimental to the second prince. The yellow-robed old man's expression changed drastically. Don't worry. I know that old man too well. The success rate of refining the twin life stone is only 50%. There is a great risk involved. Therefore, before refining the twin life stone, the old man will definitely do one thing. That is to remove all of the clan residences and control all of the Taishu dynasty's territory. This has always been the old man's wish. He wants to be the divine emperor. However, once he removes the clan residences, it will definitely cause a wave of internal strife. If he does this normally, it will cause too much of a stir and it will be detrimental to the Taishu dynasty. However, this is a great opportunity. The barbarian emperor has fallen, and the barbarian race is in chaos. They won't be able to attack us for the time being. This is the best opportunity to remove the clan residences. If he fails to refine the twin life stone, he can still be the divine emperor, right? The second prince said. Second prince, you're saying that the heavenly king's residences and marquises' residences won't be willing to be removed and will rise up in revolt. However, with their strength, they won't be able to contend against the divine emperor. The yellow-robed old man said. Of course. However, isn't there still my big brother? The second prince smiled faintly. The crown prince? The yellow-robed old man's eyes flickered. My big brother has been coveting the divine emperor's position for many years. He has been waiting for a long time. Finally, the old man's lifespan is nearing its end. However, if he finds out that the old man has obtained the twin life stone and has a 50% chance of entering the divine emperor realm, what do you think he will do? The second prince smiled as if he had the pearl of wisdom in his hand. The yellow-robed old man's eyes lit up. Even if there's only a 50% chance of success, the crown prince won't take the risk. Because once the divine emperor succeeds, the crown prince will completely lose the throne. So, he will fight with all his might and rebel? Haha, so send someone to secretly inform my big brother. The Taishu dynasty will soon have a great show. That will be our chance. The divine emperor's position will be mine. The second prince laughed loudly. Chapter 35:28. The second prince had been planning for this day for a long time. He couldn't wait until the sage emperor reached the end of his lifespan. If that happened, the crown prince would naturally inherit the sage emperor's position. Moreover, once the crown prince inherited the throne, he would definitely not let him off. Therefore, he had to stir up the situation. A fake twin life stone could successfully stir the water into a pot of porridge. That would be his chance. Come, let the storm come even fiercer. The second prince revealed an expectant and sinister smile. Not long after, in the crown prince's residence, twin life stone, damn it, damn it. The crown prince roared, his eyes red. He had just found out through a secret channel that the second prince had found a twin life stone for the Taishu sage emperor. Although the twin life stone only had a 50% success rate, he couldn't accept it. A 50% success rate was already a very high success rate. Let alone 50%, even if the success rate was only 10%, he still wouldn't accept it. What if the Taishu sage emperor succeeded? What would he do then? Could he only be the crown prince for the rest of his life until he died of old age? Unless he could break through to the divine emperor realm, but with his talent, it was basically impossible without a miracle. Old man, I wanted to let you live for a few hundred more years so that you could leave peacefully. I didn't expect you to insist on causing trouble. You're courting death. Don't blame me for being ruthless. The crown prince's eyes flashed with shocking killing intent. 3 days later, the confidants of the sacred emperor left the great void sacred capital and headed to the residences of the heavenly kings, marquises, generals, and soldiers to pass on an order. The Taishu sage emperor had summoned all the lords of the heavenly king's residences, marquises' residences, generals' residences, and soldiers' residences to the Taishu sacred capital. Strange, didn't the sage emperor's birthday banquet just end? Why are they going again? Many of the lords were surprised when they received the order. Almost all the lords had attended the sage emperor's birthday banquet. How many years had it been? Why was the sage emperor summoning them to the Taishu sacred capital? Of course, since the sage emperor had given the order, they had to go. Many lords began to move. As for Lu Ming, he naturally received the order from the king and was also shocked. Strange, I feel that something bad is going to happen this time. Lu Ming frowned. His spiritual sense told him that something big was going to happen this time. I once heard from Jing Yu that the Taishu Saint Emperor has always had a wish, which is to remove all the clan residences and unify all the territories under the control of the royal family. Right now, the Sacred Emperor's time is almost up. Before he dies, he might really do it. Besides, the Berserker Emperor has just died not too long ago, and the internal structure of the Berserker tribe is not stable yet. This is a good chance. Lan Shang carefully speculated. Uncle Lan, are you saying that the Saint Emperor will eliminate all of the clan residences? But Lan Shang said. Just in case, send a message to Etian and ask him to come to the Taishu Sacred Court. Although he had brought many experts from the Lost Galaxy, there was only one boundary emperor. To be on the safe side, he wanted Etian to come with him to the Taishu Sacred Capital. 2 boundary emperors should be enough to protect themselves. Of course, he thought of the Undying Demon Lord. The Undying Demon Lord was at least a boundary emperor. Maybe even higher. Lu Ming even speculated that the Undying Demon Lord was a real divine emperor. One had to know that the Saint Devil Dynasty was a country before the Taishu Sacred Dynasty, and the Taishu Sacred Dynasty had been established for about 50 stellar years. Even if the Undying Demon King was sealed, he could still survive from the Saint Devil Dynasty until now. Could a quasi-emperor do that? Only a divine emperor could do that. If the Demon King was not a divine emperor, even if he had been sealed for a long time and his vitality was greatly damaged, he would have recovered some of his battle strength after breaking the seal for a long time. He would definitely be a great helper if he was not a divine emperor. However, Lu Ming felt that it was not the right time for the Undying Demon Lord to appear. The Undying Demon Lord was a big shot. He had to use him at a critical moment. After the message was sent out, Etian rushed over after some time. Of course, he was alone. He could not bring the others along. After Etian arrived, Lu Ming brought Blue Merchant, Giant Bear, Zhu Tai, and the others to the Taishu Sacred Capital. Etian, Giant Bear, and the others wore thick armor and disguised themselves as Lu Ming's guards. At the same time, they restrained their aura to the extreme. Soon, the Taishu Sacred Capital was in sight. Who is it? At this moment, Blue Merchant shouted coldly in a direction. His soul power was shining between his eyebrows. Blue Merchant's soul power was extremely strong. Therefore, his spiritual sense was extremely sharp. Even boundary emperors like Etian and Giant Bear could not compare to him in this aspect. His soul power has reached the Sir God level. His spiritual sense is sharp. In the starry sky ahead, there was a ripple and a figure appeared. This figure was wrapped in a black robe and was surrounded by a black fog. Her appearance could not be seen clearly. One could barely make out that the figure was petite and seemed to be a woman. Who are you? Who sent you? Lu Ming asked. You don't need to know who sent me. My master sent me here to tell you that this trip is dangerous. After the other party finished speaking, her figure flashed and disappeared. Lu Ming and the others did not pursue because the other party did not have any ill intentions. She seemed to have good intentions. This trip is dangerous. The other party left behind these 4 words. Lu Ming and Blue Merchant frowned. Obviously, the other party was reminding them that this trip to the Taishu Sacred Capital was dangerous. Could it be that this time, as Blue Merchant had guessed, the Saint Emperor was going to eliminate all the clan residences before his death? However, who was this person? Who was the master that she mentioned? Why did she send someone to warn them? It was obvious that she had good intentions. However, Lu Ming had come prepared this time. He had 2 quasi-emperors with him. Even if the Saint Emperor wanted to eliminate the clan residences, he would be able to protect himself. At most, he would just make a fuss and retreat. He did not believe that the Saint Emperor would kill all the clan residences just to eliminate the clan residences. That was impossible. Doing so would shake the foundations of the Taishu dynasty. At most, he would kill a few as a warning to others. Looks like I guessed correctly this time. Blue Merchant frowned. No matter what, if he wants to eliminate the clan residences, let him do it. As long as we have a foothold, it's fine. Lu Ming said. The marquee residences were just a name. Lu Ming did not care. As long as he had power, nothing was more important. Lu Ming and the others continued forward into the Taishu's sacred capital. They arrived at the Hidden Dragon Marquee residence and waited. A month later, all the clan residences had arrived at the Taishu's sacred capital. Then, the Saint Emperor ordered them to gather in the palace. Chapter 35-29. Behind the palace was a huge courtyard. This was where the sacred emperor usually entertained his guests. Today, it was packed with people. Tables and chairs were placed in different areas. Every heavenly king's residence and marquee residence had their own area. The highest part of the courtyard was where the Great Void Sacred Emperor and the other members of the royal family sat. Below them were the 27 areas. This was where the 27 heavenly kings' residences were located. At the bottom, there were even more tables and chairs. This was where the marquee residence, general residence, and soldier residence were located. Lu Ming brought Yi Tian, Giant Bear, and the others to the Hidden Dragon Residences area and sat down quietly. They waited quietly. Tian, Giant Bear, and the others were wearing armor. They sat behind Lu Ming and did not attract much attention. They were treated as Lu Ming's bodyguards. As time passed, more and more people arrived. Soon, Lu Ming and the others were drowned in the crowd. Half an hour later, everyone arrived. Lu Ming looked around and saw 9 Extinction Heavenly King, 9 Sabers Heavenly King, and the others. However, he did not see 1,000 Holy Old Heavenly King. This was because the Heavenly King of the 1,000 Holy Heavenly King residence was not 1,000 Holy Old Heavenly King. His Majesty has arrived. A sharp voice was heard. The Great Void Sacred Emperor, the Crown Prince, and the others stepped into the air and arrived. So many experts. Lu Ming looked around and saw a group of black-robed men behind the Sacred Emperor. These black-robed men looked calm, but Lu Ming felt a strong sense of danger from them. These people gave him a lot of pressure. The Sacred Emperor arrived and sat at the top. Greetings, Sacred Emperor. Everyone stood up and bowed. After not seeing him for a while, the Great Void Sacred Emperor looked even more lethargic. His eyes were cloudy and he looked like he was going to pass away at any time. Please take a seat. The Great Void Sacred Emperor waved his hand and everyone took their seats. Everyone, please drink. The Great Void Sacred Emperor raised his wine glass and took a sip. Everyone was filled with doubts. They did not know why the Taishu Saint Emperor had called them here. However, they could only suppress the doubts in their hearts and raise their wine cups to take a sip. After the Saint Emperor took a sip, his eyes lit up. At this moment, the Taishu Saint Emperor was no longer lethargic. Instead, he was like a terrifying beast that had awakened, emitting a terrifying aura. Everyone felt their hearts tighten. The reason why the Sage Emperor had gathered them here was finally going to be revealed. The Great Void Saint Emperor's gaze swept across the entire place, sweeping across everyone. I'm sure you're all curious about why I've suddenly summoned you here. I'll get straight to the point. I've summoned you here because there's a traitor among you. The Great Void Saint Emperor's voice reverberated throughout the area, sounding a little cold. What? Everyone was shocked. Heavenly King Hao Exin, you secretly colluded with the Tianyi Sacred Dynasty and sold a large number of divine artifacts to them. Do you know your crime? Suddenly, the Great Void Sacred Emperor's gaze landed on one of the Heavenly King's manors. Heavenly King Hao Exin was one of the top 8 Heavenly King mansions in the Taishu Dynasty. Heavenly King Hao Exin's strength was even more shocking. He was a 9th-level Divine Lord. However, at this moment, Heavenly King Hao Exin's expression changed. He cupped his fists and said, Your Majesty, there's definitely no such thing. Are you mistaken? Heavenly King Hao Exin had indeed cooperated with the Tianyi Sacred Dynasty and traded treasures with each other. In fact, many Heavenly King mansions were doing this kind of thing. Everyone was well aware of it, but they could not say it out loud. Otherwise, it would not be good. Since the Great Void Saint Emperor had brought it up, He naturally could not admit it. You're still quibbling. I've already collected enough evidence. Do you want me to show it to you? The great Void Saint Emperor said coldly. This, Heavenly King Hao Xen began to break out in cold sweat. In the end, he cupped his fists and knelt down. He said, Your Majesty, I have indeed traded divine artifacts with the Tianyi sacred dynasty. However, that was many years ago. Your Majesty, please punish me. Have you finally admitted it? Selling divine artifacts to the Tianyi sacred dynasty is a crime of treason. You must be punished. Now, cripple your own cultivation. Also, Heavenly King Hao Xen Mansion does not need to exist in the future. I will send people to guard the territory of Heavenly King Hao Xen Mansion. The Taishu dynasty said lightly. What? As soon as these words came out, the entire place fell into a dead silence. Except for a few people, most people were shocked. He had only sold divine artifacts to the Tianyi sacred dynasty, but the great Void Saint Emperor actually wanted to cripple Heavenly King Hao Xian's cultivation and even remove Heavenly King Hao Xian Mansion from the list. Heavenly King Hao Xian Mansion had existed since the Taishu dynasty was established. It had experienced countless years, but now the Taishu dynasty wanted to remove it with just a few words? Heavenly King Hao Xen was also stunned. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Originally, he thought that even if the great Void Saint Emperor found out about this kind of thing, he would only be casually punished and hand over some treasures. He never dreamed that the great Void Saint Emperor would actually want to cripple his cultivation. He was a 9th-level divine lord, the top combat power of the Taishu dynasty. Was he going to be crippled just like that? This was not a 9th-level divine lord. There were not many 9th-level divine lords in the entire Taishu dynasty. Moreover, he wanted to cripple the entire Heavenly King Hao Xan Mansion. Saint Emperor, I refuse to accept this. Heavenly King Hao Xian shouted. Since you have committed a crime, you have to accept the punishment. Are you going to do it yourself, or should I do it? The great Void Saint Emperor's voice was cold. Let's go. Suddenly, Heavenly King Hao Xan roared. His body burst up and rushed towards the sky. The experts he brought followed Heavenly King Hao Xen and rushed into the sky, wanting to escape. Heavenly King Hao Xen was an overlord after all. He would definitely not allow himself to be captured. However, when Heavenly King Hao Xen rushed into the sky, a figure suddenly appeared in the sky. It was an extremely burly figure wearing iron armor. Military King. Many people were shocked. They recognized that this was the Great Void Military King, the highest commander of the Grand Council, the military king who commanded the world's troops. Kill! The military king shouted coldly as the battle spear in his hands swept out. Boom! A huge battle spear pressed towards Heavenly King Hao Xen. Heavenly King Hao Xen roared and erupted with all his strength. He wanted to block it, but it was useless. He could not withstand a single blow. Under the spear, Heavenly King Hao Xen screamed. His arms exploded, and even half of his body exploded. His body fell to the ground and crashed heavily. Countless runes immediately spread out on the ground, enveloping the entire palace. After Heavenly King Hao Xen crashed to the ground only shook a little but did not explode. Heavenly King Hao Xian vomited blood. His aura was extremely weak. He had already been severely injured. Although Heavenly King Hao Xen had the cultivation of a 9th-level divine lord, the military king was a quasi-emperor. There was still a huge gap between them. He was severely injured in one move. After severely injuring Heavenly King Hao Xen, the military king waved his spear again. After a series of explosions, Heavenly King Hao Xian's subordinates were all severely injured. Chapter 35-30. Swoosh. Finally, King Jun moved and landed beside Heavenly King Haosen. Saint Emperor, spare my life. Heavenly King Haosen begged for mercy. You still want to resist? How can I spare you? Taishu Saint Emperor said coldly. As soon as Taishu Saint Emperor finished speaking, King Jun attacked. His spear pierced through and killed Heavenly King Haosen. A 9th-level divine lord, a heavenly king of a heavenly king mansion, was killed just like that. The scene was silent. No one spoke. Everyone's face was extremely solemn as their eyes turned. Taishu Saint Emperor actually killed Heavenly King Housen just because he sold the divine artifact to the Tianyi sacred dynasty. This was simply unbelievable. Many of the mansion lords present had done such a thing. Were they all going to be executed? Was the Saint Emperor going crazy because his time was up? Was he going to drag them down with him? Many people's hearts sank as all kinds of thoughts ran through their minds. Do you want to be buried with Housen or submit to His Majesty the Saint Emperor and serve him? King Jun's gaze swept across those from Heavenly King Housen Mansion. We are willing to submit to the Saint Emperor. Those from Heavenly King Housen Mansion knelt down. Those who could follow Heavenly King Housen here were naturally loyal to him. If Heavenly King Housen was not dead, they would definitely resist to the end. But now that Heavenly King Housen was dead, it was meaningless for them to continue resisting. All right, men, take them away first. As soon as the Saint Emperor spoke, a group of guards immediately came and took the people from Heavenly King Housen Mansion away. Then, Taishu Saint Emperor's gaze swept across again. Many people began to feel nervous as cold sweat dripped down their backs. Especially those who had done something similar to Saint Emperor Housen, they were even more nervous. Heavenly King Fengxiang. Taishu Saint Emperor said lightly. This time, his gaze fell on another Heavenly King. Heavenly King Fengxiang was also a 9th-level Divine Lord. He was extremely powerful. There were 27 Heavenly King mansions in the Taishu dynasty. There was only one quasi-emperor, and that was Heavenly King Qiansheng. Other than Heavenly King Qiansheng, the Heavenly Kings in the top 8 Heavenly King mansions were all 9th-level Divine Lords. Among them, the 1st and 2nd Heavenly King mansions had 2 9th-level Divine Lords. This was also to say that in the 27 Heavenly King palaces, there were a total of 10 9th-level Divine Lord powerhouses. The Soaring Phoenix Heavenly King residence was ranked 5th among the 27 Heavenly King residences. But at that moment, Heavenly King Feng Xiang's body trembled and his face turned pale. He stood up and bowed. Your Majesty, what can I do for you? Heavenly King Feng Xiang, do you know your crime? The Great Void Saint Emperor said coldly. Your Majesty, what crime have I committed? Heavenly King Feng Xiang's body trembled slightly, but he managed to stabilize himself and continued. Do you want me to say it? The Soaring Phoenix Heavenly King's mansion produces a type of divine herb called the Soaring Phoenix grass, but you secretly sold it to the barbarian tribe at a high price. Don't you know that the barbarians are the mortal enemies of the Taishu dynasty? You are helping the enemy. This is a capital offense. Do you plead guilty? The Great Void Saint Emperor said coldly. Heavenly King Feng Xiang's face was pale, but he naturally did not want to surrender. He said loudly, Your Majesty, I admit that I sold the Soaring Phoenix grass to the barbarians, but it was not a large amount. Furthermore, the Soaring Phoenix Heavenly King residence has been fighting the barbarians all these years. I am guilty, but my contributions outweigh my crimes. I do not deserve to die. A crime is a crime. If you commit a crime, you must be punished. Do you want to do it yourself, or do you want me to get someone to do it? The Taishu dynasty said coldly. Ha! At that moment, Heavenly King Feng Xiang suddenly laughed crazily and shouted, Jing Shu, do you think I don't know what you are trying to do? You are reaching the end of your lifespan. That's why you are going crazy. You want to eliminate all the palaces and unify all the palaces in the hands of the royal family. You want to be the eternal Saint Emperor. Not only could Blue Merchant guess the Saint Emperor's motive, but these Heavenly Kings were not simple-minded. They could also deduce some things based on the Saint Emperor's behavior. Since the Great Void Saint Emperor wanted to kill him, Heavenly King Feng Xiang might as well go all out. Not only did he call out the Taishu Saint Emperor's name, but he also directly revealed the Taishu Saint Emperor's motive. Everyone, Jing Shu is crazy today. He will definitely eliminate all the palaces. Are you going to sit here and wait for death? He killed Heavenly King Hao Xen first, and then I will be next. After killing me, it will be all of you. He will come one by one and take you down one by one. Are you going to wait for him to capture you? Today, we can only survive if we join forces and fight back together. Heavenly King Feng Xiang roared, wanting to call on everyone to attack together. Anyway, he was going all out. As long as he could escape today, he would take his people and join the Tianyi sacred dynasty. Hearing Heavenly King Feng Xiang's words, many people's eyes lit up. They understood that Heavenly King Feng Xiang's words made sense. If this continued, they would definitely be defeated one by one. No one would be able to escape. Stubborn. You still want to sow discord between us. We can't let you live. Kill. The Taishu Saint Emperor shouted coldly. Boom. King Jun stepped out like a terrifying god of war. His terrifying aura forced towards Heavenly King Feng Xiang. Everyone, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? Heavenly King Feng Xiang roared. That's right. If this continues, we will all be defeated one by one. We can only survive if we join forces. At this moment, a voice sounded. Everyone was shocked. It was Heavenly King Wushuang from the Wushuang Heavenly King residence. Heavenly King Wushuang was ranked first among the 27 Heavenly King residences. He had 2 9th-level divine lords and many other experts. Heavenly King Wushuang was a middle-aged man. He was very handsome. At this moment, divine power surrounded him. There were at least a dozen experts beside him who stood up at the same time. No one expected Heavenly King Wushuang to be the first to speak. In fact, Heavenly King Wushuang had no choice. Heavenly King Wushuang's residence secretly had business dealings with the barbarian tribe and the Tianyi sacred dynasty. It was a tacit agreement. But today, the Taishu Saint Emperor used this to make things difficult for them. They had no way to argue back. Moreover, Heavenly King Wushuang's residence was the leader of the 27 Heavenly Kings. They were very powerful. If the Taishu Saint Emperor really wanted to eliminate all the other Heavenly Kings, he would definitely start with Heavenly King Wushuang's residence. Moreover, they did not want to be eliminated, so they could only fight back. That's right. We can only save ourselves if we join forces. Heavenly King Wushuang's residence was about to attack. All right, let's join forces. Following that, another Heavenly King from the Heavenly King residence spoke. Following that, more and more Heavenly Kings stood up and prepared for battle. King Jun stopped in his tracks. How dare you? I think you want to rebel. The Heavenly King roared. His terrifying aura filled the air, forming a terrifying pressure that pressed down on everyone. Following that, a few figures stepped out from behind the Taishu Saint Emperor. They appeared around the void and sealed the entire void. Most importantly, the aura of these people was extremely terrifying. Chapter 35-31. A few figures walked out from behind the Great Void Saint Emperor. They sealed the space and exuded a terrifying aura. Boundary Emperors, all of them were Boundary Emperors. There were a total of 3 people. Lu Ming recognized one of them. He was the 6th prince, the younger brother of the Great Void Saint Emperor. Back then, during the Great Void Saint Emperor's birthday banquet, he fought with the powerful barbarians together with the King Jun. He was also a Boundary Emperor. As for the other 2 black-robed elders, Lu Ming did not recognize them. However, they were extremely terrifying and powerful. They were both quasi-emperors. They are the hidden experts of the Taishu dynasty. Clearly, the Great Void Saint Emperor is fully prepared today. Blue Merchant transmitted his voice to Lu Ming behind Lu Ming. Blue Merchant's soul power was extremely strong. The others could not hear him transmitting his voice to Lu Ming. The 3 Boundary Emperors and the barbarian tribe experts surrounded everyone. Everyone looked pale. Heavenly King Wushuang, Heavenly King Fengxiang, and the others gathered together. They had no confidence in facing 4 Boundary Emperors. Everyone, don't be instigated by Heavenly King Fengxiang. Alright, I'll be frank. I'm going to eliminate all the clans today. The Great Void Saint Emperor said. Everyone's expression changed. Indeed. But, the Great Void Saint Emperor continued, not all the clans and lords are guilty. Today, only Heavenly King Haosen, Heavenly King Fengxiang, and Heavenly King Wushuang are guilty. Those who are guilty should be killed. However, the other clans are innocent. As long as you surrender and dissolve your clans, I'll still give you an important position. As soon as the Great Void Saint Emperor said that, many people's eyes lit up. The Great Void Saint Emperor said that only Heavenly King Fengxiang and Heavenly King Wushuang were guilty today. As long as the others surrendered, not only would they not be killed, but they would also be given an important position. Although they were unwilling to dissolve their clans, it was better than being killed. If they resisted today, they would not be able to survive. The Great Void Saint Emperor was clearly prepared. On the battlefield, there were 4 quasi-emperors, including the Taishu Holy Emperor himself and the Imperial Advisor. That was a total of 6 quasi-emperors. They didn't have a single quasi-emperor. The only quasi-emperor, Thousand Holy Old Heavenly King, did not come today. Clearly, the Taishu Saint Emperor was afraid that something unexpected would happen, so he did not call Heavenly King Thousand Saints over. In any case, as long as he disbanded the Thousand Saints Heavenly King residence, he could slowly deal with Thousand Saints Old Heavenly King in the future. Many people had already begun to waver. Heavenly King Feng Xiang and Heavenly King Wushuang's expressions changed drastically. Everyone, don't be fooled by his tricks. If you surrender today and solve the clan mansion, he will definitely find an opportunity to kill you one by one in the future. Today, the only way to survive is to fight our way out and join the Tianyi sacred dynasty. Heavenly King Feng Xiang roared. That's right. He's trying to drive a wedge between us. Heavenly King Wushuang also roared. He had already been singled out by the Taishu Saint Emperor. Today, he could only fight to the death. During this process, Lu Ming and the others were very calm and did not make any movements. Even if he were to make a move, with the manpower he brought along, as well as Heavenly King Feng Xiang and the others, the odds were against them. It was not worthwhile for him to resist with Heavenly King Feng Xiang and the others. In his opinion, disbanding the clan mansion was not a big deal. His hidden dragon mansion had been established not long ago, and only the combat power he had was still there. The clan mansion was just a name, and he did not care. As long as he could leave this place today, he could bring the undying demon lord with him. With the barbarian race behind him, even the Taishu Saint Emperor would not be able to touch him easily. Of course, this was because the Taishu Saint Emperor did not want to do anything to him. Otherwise, he would definitely fight back. Humans were all selfish, weren't they? A monarch doesn't joke. If I say that he is innocent, then he is innocent. If I say that I won't touch you, then I won't touch you. This is the last time I say this. If you want to die with Feng Xiang and Wushuang, then I will fulfill your wish. The Taishu Saint Emperor stood up, and his terrifying aura became even more shocking. Even though they were all quasi-emperors, there were differences in strength. As for the Taishu Saint Emperor, he was half a step away from becoming a true sacred emperor. Once he unleashed his full strength, it would be earth-shattering. I will disband the clan mansion and submit to your majesty. At this moment, a voice rang out. It was an elder in a black robe. Many people were shocked as they recognized this elder in a black robe. He was the Heavenly King of the Juyo Heavenly King residence, Heavenly King Juyo. Juyo, Heavenly King Wushuang was furious. Art, Juyo, I will do what I say. Those who are willing to submit to me, step aside. The Taishu Saint Emperor said. Thank you, your majesty. Heavenly King Juyo led the people of the Juyo Heavenly King residence to the side. Your majesty, I am also willing to submit. Me too. Following that, the people of the other clan mansions knelt down one by one. It was already good enough that they were not killed by the Taishu Saint Emperor. After all, the clan mansion was more important than their lives. They had to save their lives first. Soon, more and more people submitted to the Taishu Saint Emperor. Heavenly King Feng Xiang and Heavenly King Wushuang's faces turned darker and darker. Let's go. Charge out. Heavenly King Wushuang and Heavenly King Feng Xiang roared and led the experts of the 2 Heavenly King residents to charge toward one of the black-robed elders. There were 2 level 9 divine lords in Heavenly King Wushuang's residence. Including Heavenly King Feng Xiang, there were a total of 3 level 9 divine lords. In addition to the other level 8 and level 7 divine lords, their combined power was extremely terrifying. Moreover, the black-robed elder that they had chosen did not seem to have a strong aura. He was considered weak among the boundary emperors. Violent attacks surged towards the old man like raging waves. "You are courting death," the black-robed elder shouted coldly as his divine power erupted. A saber appeared in his hand and he slashed out. The saber seemed to have lit up the starry sky and the universe. It was unimaginably stunning. Boom! The attacks from both sides collided heavily and there was a shocking explosion. Following that, the black-robed elder's saber light shook violently and finally exploded. The black-robed elder's body floated backward. However, Heavenly King Wushuang and Heavenly King Feng Xiang's attack was also blocked and their speed slowed down. "Wushuang, it seems like you are about to become a boundary emperor. Unfortunately, you are still one step away." The Taishu Saint Emperor's voice rang out. At this moment, another black-robed elder, Lord Jun, and the sixth Wangye rushed toward Heavenly King Wushuang and the others. The four boundary emperors had joined forces. At this moment, Heavenly King Wushuang and Heavenly King Feng Xiang's hearts sank. They knew that they would definitely die today. "Shocking technique, you will die a horrible death." Heavenly King Feng Xiang roared crazily. "How dare you insult the sacred emperor?" Lord Jun shouted as his long spear pierced through the void, breaking through layers of defense and piercing through Heavenly King Feng Xiang's forehead. On the other side, Heavenly King Wushuang was extremely powerful and was about to become a boundary emperor. Unfortunately, he was still not a boundary emperor. Under the joint attack of the sixth Wangye and the black-robed elder, he was instantly killed. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.